So today we wanted to go live and we wanted to talk about frequently, not like what you do when you get your tabs first off, because we get a lot of questions on that. And your very first thing you should be doing is going over the technical data sheet so you know what to do, but we're going to talk a little bit about that today as well. And then we're going to go over some frequently asked questions. So the very first thing you want to do when you order your tabs is, while you're waiting for them to come in, start tracking your mileage. And really the best way to be doing that is to manually calculate, which we'll talk about a little bit more later on, but start tracking what you're getting so you have an idea of what you're getting. And then just remember, like, you know, city driving, highway driving, like write notes of where you were on that tank of gas, because every tank is going to be different. And then the very first thing you want to do when you get your tabs, when you fill up, is you want to double dose. And that's the very first thing that the manual says to do, is you double dose. And so each tab treats 15 to 20 gallons. So if you have a smaller tab, and maybe Angel, you can speak to this a little bit better because you have 3 different vehicles that take 3 different sizes. So what would you do in each vehicle? So go with your husband's little commuter car. If it was his very first one, because his takes a half, right? What would you do? You would do a full, right?
Yeah. So we have 3 completely different types of vehicles. We actually have more than that. My husband's a little bit of a car nut. So we have quite a few vehicles, but our 3 main drivers in the house. Our first car is a Pontiac Vibe. He uses that to commute back and forth to the city, to his job site. He is a contractor. And we live about an hour drive from his job site. So it just makes sense to use a commuter car. That car only has a 10-gallon tank. So on his very first time he used the tab, he used a full tablet. When he refills, he uses half a tablet, because there's no benefit to overtreating, but you can undertreat. So make sure you're using correctly to your vehicle, okay? So then our next vehicle that we own, we actually just sold it, but it's still relevant because we've used the tablets in it. So I'll explain that to you. Again, my husband buys and sells cars. It's like a merry-go-round here. So we had a 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee. In that Grand Cherokee, we would use a full tab. The tank is just a smidge over 20. I think it's 21 gallons, but we always just did 1. But on our first tank, we did 2 tabs, okay? And then 1 tab every time we filled up. So that makes sense. Our next vehicle is a 20, I think it's a 2015, I don't know, 2017 Dodge Eco Diesel. Okay, that has quite a bit larger tank. It actually needs like 1 3/4, but I'm not breaking 1 into 3/4, so I throw 2 in. That one takes 2 tabs on every fill. It's got a huge tank. On our first fill, we put in 4 tabs to start the carbonization cleanup. And if you know anything about eco-diesel and DEF and like those regulations, they're actually recirculating the carbon through your vehicle so less comes out. So actually those motors get hit hard. And anything with a DEF system on it, because they're recirculating the exhaust and the carbon, it actually is really damaging to those engines. So they don't have great longevity in life. So that is kind of the assessment on like how frequently or how many tabs we use. It goes very based on your vehicle. If you are like, 23, 24 gallon tank, I would definitely do 1.5 tabs. Even though you're just over, I would do 1.5 every time you filled up. So it is very important to properly treat. You don't need to overtreat. don't think that, you throw 5 tabs in, you're going to get even better gas mileage. It doesn't work that way. But you can undertreat, and you will notice a big difference if you undertreat.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing we want to talk about is manually calculating and how important it is to manually calculate. So even people who are seeing a big difference and they're taking the pictures, you're actually, you'll probably see even bigger difference if you manually calculate. Our vehicles run off of averages, and so when you manually calculate, you're actually getting an exact amount of what you got on that tank of gas. So it's really important to manually calculate every time, because then you're actually getting an accurate reading, and it really is the only way to get an accurate reading. And I can speak to this. My husband, when I first got fuel tabs, I took all these pictures of my befores, and he's like, you're never going to get an accurate reading that way. And now my husband works in oil and gas. He's actually done it all in like every area of oil and gas, consulting, subsea engineer, all kinds of different areas. So he's like really mechanical anyways. And I didn't listen because I just don't. And then I was like, I'm not seeing a difference. And he's like, you have to manually calculate. And so in my vehicle, I'm in Canada, so we do it a little bit different. Ours are liters per 100 kilometers. So we want to see ours going down. So I did, reset thinking that it would work, and I still wasn't seeing a difference. And then he's like, because I kept everything and I took pictures, so I knew exactly what I was using on every tank. He's like, go and manually calculate it now so that I can prove you wrong. And so I manually calculated, and so on my vehicle, it was saying that I was getting anywhere from 12 to 14 liters per 100K. When I manually calculated, on average, I was seeing anywhere from 9 to 6 on one tank. I got 5 liters per 100K. So it was doing it. My vehicle wasn't showing it. And that's actually, most people's aren't showing it what you're actually running. So even when you're resetting it, you're not actually getting an accurate reading of what's happening within your engine. And then you read something about that, right, Angel?
Yeah, so logistically, when your computer is manually calculating your mileage, or either your miles per gallon or your 100 kilometers or kilometers per 100, so we do it different everywhere else in the world besides America. We all work off liters. When you do that, it actually can take it's working off old averages. So what you're seeing, even when you press that button and reset it, unless you manually entirely reset your computer system, if you just press that button to like zero it out, it is working off the averages from the 10, 20 tanks before. If you're going to get an accurate read and you just don't want to do the math and you want an accurate read on your computer system, you're going to be waiting about 20 to 30 tanks before the new set of averages is cycling. And so it is super important to manually calculate. You cannot depend on what's showing on your screen. It's inaccurate, and we see it all the time. My husband, just like Todd, although he's not got all the education Todd does, he's a big car guy. We, I think, currently own, 7 vehicles. And so he fixes cars. He knows a lot about cars. He knows about mileage. He knows about all that kind of stuff. And that was the number one thing he said to me too, was, Angel, like, that computer's wrong. And he's like, bring me the paper. And even though we work in kilometers per 100, he always does everything in miles per gallon because his brain works that way. And so he went and did the math. He took the miles we drove versus the gallons we put in. And he was like, see, he's like, the vehicle's saying, 19.6, but it's like 22. So it is super important to manually calculate. And I learned that lesson very quickly and early on as well. The manual calculations is where it's at. Also, your first 5 tanks are going to be all over the map because you're hyper cleaning out all this built up carbon that has been built up for years and years, right? Newer vehicles won't see it as drastically as my, 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee that's, has like 300,000 kilometers, right? So it's got a lot of road miles. And so those first tanks, you're not going to likely, and not everyone's going to see a massive gain. You might even see a little bit of a loss, but some of that times is your driving style, what the type of driving compared to the last tank, the averages compared to the last tank. It is very all over the map, and it is important to know and to go take a look at the technical data sheet, because it even talks about the cleaning out phase, and just really have that in your mind, that this is a process. It's like our bodies, right? If we're full of aches and pains and inflammation and we're sick, I'm a health and wellness girl. So if you're like that, you're not going to start taking something and wake up and feel like you're, 20 years old again and feel amazing and have no aches and pains and, like this morning. Yeah, or instant weight loss. Like, I literally this morning woke up feeling like I was 96. My back hurt so bad. And I was like, I just slept, right? But like our bodies, when it gets disrepaired, our bodies take time to, once we start looking after it and doing all the things and taking the supplements, drinking the water and doing the exercise and eating right, it takes our bodies time to get back on track. You have to think of your vehicle as a body, right? It's taken time to degrade all of the miles per gallon or the kilometers per or the liters per 100 kilometers. It takes time to get there. And so it's going to take a little bit of time to get it back and like have it cleaned out and get it functioning. And if you're depending on your computer, I promise you, you're not going to see the results that you want to see. You have to manually calculate. Another example, our really good friend, Rebecca, owns a 2021, I believe it is, Ford Ranger. And she was like, not literally just came off the lot. She literally picked it up off the lot and put a tab in. So she didn't see the big drastic ahas because it's a brand new vehicle, right? Hers was a little bit slower to progress. However, she knew that it was actually going to keep her vehicle cleaner. The maintenance is going to be better. The oil changes were going to be better. That's one thing I've noticed hugely is that my oil, when I go to change, or let's be real, I'm not changing my oil. When my husband goes to change our oil, he's saying that it's looking a lot cleaner. Usually, at 10,000 kilometers with synthetic oil, it's starting to look very dark. He said, it's very light compared to what it should be. And he's impressed with that. And those are some of the reasons she kept using it. And as time has gone on, she's now noticing more and more and more that she's having savings more and more and more. It started maybe with 20 extra kilometers. And now when she's on road trips and doing her highway driving that she does a lot, she's seeing the, 50, 75 kilometers, which is huge for a brand new vehicle that's never hardly even been broken in yet, right? So
what can't the fuel tab fix?
Well, let's see. I did a little research here because I'm not a mechanic, people. I'm married to one, but I'm not a mechanic. We can't, the product cannot fix existing issues. So, yes, it's going to clean up carbon, but if you have a bad fuel injector, you're still going to get bad fuel economy because your injector needs to be fixed. If you got a bad spark plug, same thing. It's overspraying, it's dirty, you can't fix a bad spark plug, it needs a new spark plug. If you have poor maintenance, say you're not regularly doing your oil changes, say you're not checking your tire pressure. Tire pressure plays huge into your fuel economy. Without the right tire pressure, your vehicle doesn't run and drive optimally, so it kind of has some drag, and that's going to affect your fuel economy. Same with a wheel alignment. If your vehicle's out of alignment, that can affect it. So there's underlining things that could be contributing to your poor fuel mileage that the tablet just realistically cannot repair, right? It can clean up your motor. It can help you with your emissions. It can help keep your motor cleaner and running more efficiently, but it can't fix things that are damaged. Another big thing is like all the different variables into your driving. So example, this morning, I went in to go get flowers. I own a flower shop, for anyone that doesn't know. I ran in to get flowers, and when I left this morning, it was like 13 degrees Celsius. I didn't have the air conditioner on. And so when I drove in, it was, no air conditioning, and I was probably, I'm borrowing my son's car right now, and it doesn't have cruise. Don't recommend. It doesn't have cruise. And so I definitely was going like 110, 120, 130, 110, 120, 130 the whole trip, because for me, it's hard to regulate and stay on track. But that's going to affect it. All that, like speeding, high speed, low speed, start, stop. And then on the way home, it was 23 degrees. So then my air conditioner blasted all the way home. So those all play into the effects. And then we also have, once we get to winter, once your vehicle's running, you have to run and let it start. So I'm speaking to us Canadians and anyone that lives in a cold climate, that idle time, that warm-up time, that takes its toll as well. Towing, type of roads you're driving, temperature. There's so many variables that can play into the effects. So no two tanks will ever be the same. You will not be like, I'm 23 miles per gallon every single time. That's not going to happen. It's not realistic.
And you can't compare to what other people are doing.
Yeah. And you can't compare because you don't know their driving conditions, how they drive, their terrain, their weather, if they're maintaining their vehicle or not. There's so many variables. And so it's important to look into all of those things and think of all those things. And so when you are first trying out your tablets and you're just first starting to use them, remember, it's a process. It's not an overnight thing. You might be seeing some people having quick success. And for me, in my Jeep, it was very quick. First tank, I noticed a difference. But in my husband's small commuter car, it was 2 or 3 tanks in before he noticed a difference. For Carrie, it was 5 tanks in. For Rebecca, it was 6 or 7 tanks in. So, there's different variables, different exclusions. You just have to realize that it's a process. You're doing amazing things for your vehicle, and trust the process, work through it, and you will see the benefits.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's all that we have. I didn't see anybody ask any questions either. So hopefully we got everybody's questions, and I think we got a lot of at least the frequently asked ones that we're seeing. And again, just honestly manually calculate. you're going to see a bigger difference, and then you're going to get an accurate reading. So we'll leave it at that. You guys, thank you. Have a wonderful day. Bye.
Bye.